it should be different than it is. Because I don't think it should be. But if you want to get the boob job, get the lipo, I don't give a shit. Go for it. It's available to you. You're happy with it. That's fine. And when she does get those surgeries, I have to learn about her again because she looks so different to me. Right. And so I learned, so she'll always be like, well, do you like this nose better? I'm like, I like the first nose. Are you happy with your nose? Because that's what matters. I want you to be happy with what you're doing to your face or your body. What I think doesn't matter. And so that's with somebody close. Somebody further away that I had this interaction very recently, and I could tell that in her friend group, they do this. Oh, yeah, they kind of all are doing Botox. So this is similar to the woman who asked the question. Right. And it's like normal conversation. Oh, did you go there? Yeah, well, I got this done. And then the new thing comes out and then da-da-da-da. And so then they meet somebody new and that person just kind of gets included in it. Right. And I'm like, no, thanks. You can keep your self-hate to yourself. Because this internalized, look, if you're doing it for yourself and you like the result and you're happy with that, that's fine. But if you have to do it and do it and do it and do it, then you have been indoctrinated and conditioned by the patriarchy and misogyny and ageism that tells you you are not worthy of anything if you have wrinkles, if you have stretch marks, if you have saggy boobs, if your skin is not perky. For me, aging is a sign of real life. And it's not that I don't have issues that but when I do, I see it. I'm like, oh, fuck that. I am not going to get down on myself because I'm 46 and my face doesn't look like it did when I was 20.
Right.
I'm unwilling.
It shouldn't. No, it's not natural.
Well, if I could live in a perfect world, then yes, nobody would be influenced by that. But that's not the world we live in. People are very influenced by that. And it's not my favorite look. I'll be honest. All the filters on social media, I'm like, what's happening? It hurts my brain. And that's not going to change, right? That we're not going to all of a sudden get rid of plastic surgery or Botox or anything like that. So people can choose that. Just like people can choose to be a vegan or a meat eater or whatever. That's not for me to judge. I have my own opinions about what I want to do and what I think is ethical, but it's not for me to. So she can just say, I'm glad you're happy with the Botox. Why don't you take the certificate and use it yourself?
Right.
That's what I would, I'm actually exploring aging without those things right now.
Right.
Thank you for your concern for my wrinkles.
Right. I know, but isn't that amazing that most of the questions are people saying like, how do I communicate in a way that I don't hurt people? How do I the fear of the social pressure and
when that person saying, hey, here, get hands. Wait, let's put this in perspective. Who's hurting whom?
Right.
I hand you a gift certificate for Botox.
Right.
Yeah. What am I saying about you?
Oh, totally.
Let's talk about harmful behavior. Right. Now, I'm assuming that these people are unconscious about it. Doesn't make it right. It's not an excuse, but I assume people don't know what they're doing most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just be like, oh yeah, no, thanks. Why don't you use that yourself? I'm exploring not doing those things. I'm okay that my body's aging. I'm okay with how it looks. And you might have to say that 500 times to these people.
You may have to repeat. That's what I was thinking. You may have to repeat it until people get it oh, she actually doesn't want to.
Yes.
I don't know why. What do you think about that? The no, where you are super clear in your no. I'm super clear. I don't, I studied too with Byron Katie like you. And I think since then, my no has been far much more clear. I got to attribute that she was like, no. And then she added the thank you, right? Thank you and no. So now
sometimes I don't do that.
I don't do that either. That's what
sometimes I'm like, no, and I'm not even thanking you.
But what do you think it is that is wired in the brain? Is it behavioral? Is it learned? Is it society that when you say a clear no, not only people get offended, and we were talking about it before the podcast, right? Offended, but they cannot hear it. It's like it's boring.
They can hear it, or they accuse you of being aggressive,
right,
or arrogant, or whatever. Especially if you say a no without an explanation.
That's it. I don't like to give explanations. We're like, no.
It's also a leaky boundaries. The ability to say, we have all of us been conditioned out of saying no. You're not allowed to have your own opinion.
All right.
You're not allowed to go against the grain. You're not allowed to be curious. So as children, what is the most, you're a parent, when they're lit and you've been around other parents, what's the word you hear the most?
No.
Yeah. But then when the child pushes back on that no, they're told they're not allowed.
Right. Oh, I used to get threatened of like, I'll smack you. It was,
Right.
you don't know this, but in Mexico, it was not the belt. We had something called the chancla. They had these plastic sandals and the mom will take it off and throw it to you. You had to run. If you said no, it was brutal.
Right, exactly. You know? So being afraid of saying no, nobody should judge themselves. Start exploring the heightened sensation of wanting to say no and holding on to that sensation. Like just being like, okay, I feel afraid of offending people, of hurting people. I mean, the other side of that is all like, we don't want to hurt each other. Dude, that is innate.
That's right.
And that has been taken and twisted and used against us.
So true.
We don't want to hurt each other. We want to communicate with maturity and interdependence and understanding, and we want to. And so, but we haven't been taught how, because that knowledge of how to work intact with each other has been stolen.
Wow. That leads me to the next question of the next a still woman, and we're arriving to some of men. Says, Shanti, thank you so much. I've been listening to all the podcasts. I'm from Puerto Rico, so I speak both English and Spanish, so both have served me tremendously. I have been practicing setting boundaries, and I noticed that the more I set boundaries, people get aback, but I'm not caring because I really care for them. I like that. But what I'm noticing that I never noticed before, because I never was allowed to set boundaries when I was a child, is that the more boundaries I set, the more communication I'm able to have with others. So How do you explain that now the more boundaries I set, I thought I was going to be left out, I was not going to be able to communicate. Now communication is possible. Could you refer to this, please, for me?
So it's like when I do longer facilitational programs, I hardly ever have to, there's no XYZ of communication. There's no, this is how you communicate, this is how you don't communicate. There's no, I'm never going to make a PDF of like the 10 rules of communication. It will never happen. But when you get clear boundaries, your capacity to communicate naturally from your own syntax increases. So people hear me and I always tell them, don't think that when your boundaries become clear that you're going to sound like me. You're not. You're going to sound like you, and you're going to sound more like you than you've ever sounded. Because you will accept, this is a no for me, this is a yes for me. And you'll realize I don't have to yell, scream, or fight. I also don't have to hide or run. All of those are choices I have, but those aren't the only choices I have. I can also just speak clearly and be calm inside of my body. People will take it how they take it. You get to the point because you're like, this is just I'm clear about this. I'm not going to do this, or I am going to do this. And it's really not up for discussion. I'm willing to hear other people's points of view. I may change my mind, but I'm not in a debate.
I love this. This is so powerful. It's in a way like boundaries give us more clarity, right? Inner clarity of who we are. That's
what I call it, the clarity of boundaries. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. And the next question, it goes into that. It's like, it's a man. He says, hello, Shanti. I got the opportunity to listen to the podcast about abortion. Thank you so much. As a man, I feel incompetent sometimes, that I could have done far much more. And hearing you speak about this makes me aware, as I have 3 daughters in high school and 1 entering college. So thank you for a lot. It awoke in me, not the warrior, because I will be lying, but a courage that I didn't know I had in me before. So thank you. My question is, I have, let me translate this because in Spanish, leaked, like a leak. I have leaked my clarity over the years, trying to manipulate my communication with my boss, manipulate how they see me, just to pretend that I'm strong, pretend that I'm the best at my business and everything. But the truth is, I've been using manipulative skills to communicate, and I'm tired of it. I'm so exhausted. I'm overwhelmed. I contribute that this is why I have my lungs have issues right now. Any advice that you can offer, I will gladly appreciate it.
First off, that's an amazing level of awareness.
Yeah, I know. That's a wow.
So that's a big one. Wow. And he said it right. He's using manipulative skills. Manipulation is a skill set. And it works. And a lot of people use it consciously and unconsciously. And what he also named it correctly, it's not sustainable. It's exhausting.
Right.
Because you have to have 10 faces at once. You don't just get to have your face, you have to have all the faces of manipulation.
Wow.
And so you have all these things pulling from your life force, from your one finite life that you have. There's a lot of energy going into the facade instead of whatever little finite energy I have going into me. And it's not easy to move to, I'm going to be more authentic. It's going to be terrifying.
Right.
And there will be, like everything in an adult's life, there will be consequences. There will be losses. There will also be benefits. There's going to be risks
Absolutely.
Has to take risks. He's going to have to take the risk of stopping the manipulative behavior and beginning to speak from a more honest place. It's going to be risky because everybody around him is used to him acting a certain way.
Yes. He has sold an image already.
Yeah. And so now, there will be people that will never let him leave that image.
Right.
But leave it anyway. Let those people have the image of you. I have somebody in my life, I was an asshole once. I mean, I know that's shocking.
Once, I've been many times.
Sorry, but it was like pretty bad. And this person holds my asshole card. Will never, ever be like, you're not that asshole. Right. And I'm like, okay, she's allowed to hold on. That was her experience with me. She's allowed to have that card. I can't do anything about it. Do I believe that I'm an asshole every minute of my life? No. Have I made amends in the way that I thought that I could? Yes. Yeah.
Wow. What a great, there's so much in your answer right there. So I'm gonna link it to the next one. I'm gonna skip this one because this one links into this one. Says, hello, Shanti. His name is Armando. I haven't been saying their names. I appreciate it so much.
For all of them.
Yeah. I appreciate so much your podcast. They have served me tremendously. It took me a while to send my question as I felt like I was weak if I was asking. So here I go. I have no trust in myself or my ability to communicate. And for what I've heard in your podcast, trusting oneself is essential. I doubt myself completely right now. I'm in a bad place right now, but I'm willing to ask for support. Any advice for me? How can I trust myself even more? Ooh.
First, thank you for your courage.
Wow.
Right. So courage is not the absence of fear. I don't think anybody ever feels courageous. It's like, I'm terrified and I'm going to say the thing. So that in itself was an act of trust in yourself. Right. You're already doing it. I'm afraid. Yes. You're already doing it. I'm afraid to say this thing. I feel exposed. I feel weak, but I'm going to say it anyway. That was an act of self-trust. So he's already in that. And we are not taught to orient to what self-trust looks like. We're taught to look out to other people for validation. We're taught to look out to other people to tell us what to do. And there's a healthy way of doing that, right? When the people around us are healthy. But when the people around us are not in healthy dynamics, those are not the people you want to be taking validation from. And so anywhere where, and most likely you've been taught as a child to outsource your validation to other people. And those having done that, maybe those people betrayed that trust. And that doesn't mean that you are less trustworthy. It means they were untrustworthy to begin with. And we can internalize that. So trusting yourself is one step at a time. There is no magic pill. It's when you find yourself having done, let's say you make a choice, and we never have control over the outcome of our choices, right? I make a choice that I'm going to drive down the street and I'm going to go left to the grocery store. Well, I'm driving the street and there's been a landslide. I can no longer go left. So now all I have is another choice. And now apply that to all your life. You may choose to move somewhere and you move there and it doesn't go well. It didn't mean you made a shitty choice. It means now you have to make another one. And another one, and another one. And you will always be at that choice point to make choice after choice after choice after choice. So instead of I made a choice and I'm a stupid idiot and I suck and I'm not trustworthy, it's I made a choice. Now what's the next choice I can make?
Wow.
And you do it like this, you start to understand that you